Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. So it's time to talk about what happened in 2022. That's right, my favorite matches of 2022. Next week, I've actually got a video dropping here at WrestleJuice that talks about the worst in wrestling in 2022. I'm excited about that one. The Observer is editing it. It's going to be one of those videos where it's just my voice and then a bunch of stuff happening on the screen. I know you guys want more of that stuff, so I'm going to try to do more of that in 2023. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun just to do one of these conversational videos where I take a look at my 10 personal favorite matches of 2022. What makes a match for me might be different than what makes a match for you. For example, I unfortunately don't have the time to watch a lot of like New Japan Pro Wrestling or Stardom. I try to catch what I can, and I'm sure there's been some stellar matches and some awesome stories going on in those promotions, but these are the matches that I've covered for going in Raw or here at WrestleJuice that really stuck out to me for one reason or another. Not just about, oh, wow, look at all these moves these guys are putting together, but it really spoke to me on some level and stood out and was memorable and was unique in its own way. And so we're going to go ahead and start this off. First up, Braun Breaker versus Jordan Devlin versus Ilya Dragunov at Halloween Havoc. Now, Ilya Dragunov, Jordan Devlin, sorry, what's his name? JD McDonough. Oh, what a name. Those two are two of my favorite wrestlers in the ring at any given time. In fact, I think they had a series of matches earlier this year in NXT UK that were probably phenomenal. I think in one of them, Ilya got handcuffed and he ended up like still winning the match, but whatever. They incorporated Braun Breaker in this match, and I think my expectations were just kind of low going into this because Braun Breaker was in it. And it was one of those situations where JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov were able to elevate Braun Breaker to a new level, and we could see what he could be. We got to see what happens when Braun Breaker is forced to step his game up. If you guys remember years ago when Karrion Kross was in NXT and he was part of a fatal five-way with him, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, two other really good wrestlers. I forget who exactly. But it was a match that Karrion Kross really stood out because everybody else was doing really phenomenal wrestling stuff, and he just sort of stuck out like a sore thumb because it didn't really seem like his game was elevated all that much. The main point of that match was to just keep him out of it while the other guys did wrestle stuff. This was a match that they incorporated Braun Breaker in it and really fused him within the match, and it was seamless. And I thought that it really went above and beyond my expectations for that particular match. It blew me away. It really did, and I really love that match. That's going to make my top 10 of the year. Next up on my list, Orange Cassidy versus Shibata from that Rampage on November 4th. The thing that I really loved about this match is that given what Orange Cassidy does, that sort of, disaffected, whatever you want to call him, nihilist or whatever his character is, guy who just doesn't give a shit, gives half effort, but then he gets in the ring and he does all sorts of crazy shit, but then he dials it down and he dials it back up again. I love the fact that for one match, we saw Orange Cassidy completely sort of shed that aspect of his character, and he wanted to go strong style with Katsuyori Shibata. I loved this match because I did not expect that to happen, and it kept me into the match the entire time. Most Orange Cassidy matches follow that same sort of pattern. He does the kick thing, he does the pocket thing, he turns it on, it turns into a really phenomenal wrestling match, and then he does a couple more silly things. This was a little bit different than that. This was Orange Cassidy, the character, saying, I don't want to do that stuff right now. Let's just get that out of the way. Stop being something, because Shibata was trying to come to his level, and Orange Cassidy was saying, I don't want to do that. I want to go and do what you do. I want to do the cool strong style shit. And then they went at it, and it was awesome. And then at the end, they did the pose. I thought this match was really awesome. Usually I walk into a Rampage, I turn it on, and you get good wrestling. And they don't do a lot of stuff that varies too much from what you expect from AEW. AEW is just known for, hey, let's just put on some really, really good matches. Story these days sort of unfortunately comes second, but I thought this was one of those unique matches where you had styles that should completely and totally not get along. They were able to blend their styles and what they did in a way that was very meaningful and direct And I really love this match. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Let's move on to my number 8 match of the year, the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory at All Out. I thought All Out, and a lot of people felt this way, was a bit of a bloated show, even if you take away what happened in the end. It was just sort of like too much going on, and none of it really stood out as being overly great. I know the main event, CM Punk versus Mox, I know a lot of people really enjoyed that match. Unfortunately, it was overshadowed by what happened afterwards. But to me, the big standout, the one that really captured the imagination, that got the attention, was Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. And, you know, everybody was wondering, oh my God, are they going to call like an audible here? The crowd is booing Keith Lee. The crowd never boos Keith Lee, but it was really that moment. It was the Acclaim's moment when everybody realized these guys are the most over act in AEW. And it was a massive moment. And it was really something that I think AEW, probably Tony Khan, expected one thing. Even the wrestlers expected one thing, and they got something else. The crowd had made their decision. We are all in on the Acclaimed. We want them to win this. It was a bit like Stone Cold's turn at WrestleMania against Bret Hart when he passes out and a new star is born, even in a loss. With the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory at All Out, man, oh man, a new star was born in the Acclaimed. And look what happened. Tony Khan smartly ran with it. They're the champions and still the most popular thing in AEW. Let's move on. Next up on my matches of the year, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell. I will never forget this match. This match will always go down as one of the grittiest performances I've ever witnessed. Cody Rhodes taking off his jacket, revealing the torn pec, all the bruising, the blood, you know, just bubbling underneath the skin, and then him going at it with Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. I love the fact that this match happened to take place inside Hell in a Cell. Obviously, they didn't plan for Cody Rhodes to be injured before this match. I guess doing like some weightlifting or something. But man, what a performance from Cody Rhodes. This just absolutely sticks out as validation for being such a huge Cody Rhodes fan, I guess, because, oh my God, that torn pec was gnarly, man. That was really gnarly. Let's move on to this next one. I'll be honest with you, that was probably in a top 3. I didn't really order these on my notes here. Next up, I'm going to do this. For shock factor, you got to put Mox versus CM Punk, the squash match on Dynamite 2 weeks before All Out. Walking into this match, this was the title unification match. We're sort of wondering how are they going to handle this? How's Tony Khan going to handle this? You got Punk going in here, you got Mox going in here. The interim champion versus the world champion. How are they going to handle this? Mox is an absolute beast. He's a world beater at this point. And they go in there in like less than 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever. Mox squashes Punk. Punk busts his foot, and Mox is able to hit him with whatever he hit him. I forget if it was the Bulldog Choke or if it was the Paradigm Shift. But for whatever reason, this was just done really quick, and Mox destroyed Punk. And it was kind of hilarious because it's like, yeah, this guy, he's old. He's cutting back from injury. Of course, he's going to get murdered by Mox. And that's why, in my opinion, the all-out match between the two of them, even though Punk was fired up from being in Chicago, just sort of as good technically as the match was, to me, it still just never really made much sense to me. It's like, dude, this guy's a world beater, and you're going to tell me after getting squashed 2 weeks earlier, he's going to beat Jon Moxley in just a physical bout? I don't know. It just didn't ring true to me, which is why it didn't do much for me. But this squash match, I don't know if I'd consider it like best match, but it was one of my favorite matches because it was so shocking and it left a big impression on me. I was like, yeah, man, Mox, oh my God, he just destroyed CM Punk. So in terms of being one of my favorite wrestling moments of the year, I'm definitely putting that on my list. Next up, I want to talk about Jordynne Grace versus Masha Slamovich. Impact Wrestling has been one of my favorite promotions now for the past year or 2 years. They're just so damn consistent. And this match between Jordynne Grace and Masha Slamovich was absolutely outstanding. MASHA has turned into one of my favorite wrestlers on the independent scene. I hope to see a lot more of her in 2023. I would love to see if WWE picked her up for NXT. I think she's exactly the kind of person you want in your promotion. And the feud was really, really good between her and Jordynne Grace. I thought it was very simple. I thought Masha's promos, I think she's speaking Russian in them. And I think that she's just absolutely phenomenal. She has that presence, that charisma, that camera charisma that you really want from a wrestler. And the fact that she was undefeated coming into this match, and then Jordynne Grace could only beat her with a Grace driver from the second rope was awesome. It was a jaw-dropping moment, and I thought that it did a lot for both of these wrestlers. They went on and had an also outstanding match with the Last Woman Standing match at, I think it was called Overdrive, the pay-per-view that Impact put on. That was phenomenal as well, but this match right here was a huge standout. I loved this match. Let's move on here. We're down to the last couple matches on my top 10. My next one is going to be FTR versus the Briscoes. Their match at Final Battle. Look, they had 3 absolutely outstanding match of the year candidates. You could choose from any of them because they told a unique story in each one, whether it was their first one, their 2 out of 3 falls, or this last one, which was a dog collar match. And I thought as far as gimmick matches go, this was so bloody. You even had a ref drawing color, doing the blood thing. And, you know, from whether it was Cash pulling Mark Briscoe off the top onto a bunch of ladders on the floor, or, you know, the finish, whatever, man, this match was absolutely a great way to finish off just a terrific series this year between these two teams, and the Briscoes ended up pulling out the win. Man, just a phenomenal match, a really bloody match. This is one of those matches where you can show anybody who isn't into wrestling, say, hey, I know wrestling might have a knock that it's quote unquote fake, but this is what these guys go through. This is the story they can tell in the ring. And it's just shocking. And it's like something out of like 1983 Texas, you know, like some world class championship wrestling, where it's just, it felt real. Sometimes you just want a match that just feels real. And these guys really put that one on. I'm getting down to the end here. I'll go with this next, Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. I didn't know if they were going to try to do some symmetrical storytelling here, where perhaps Bianca Belair beats Becky Lynch in 25 seconds instead of 26 seconds from the year before. I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would be a bit on the gimmicky side. Instead, these two just put on a phenomenal match that I think was just, I mean, bell to bell, one of the best matches of the year. And given the history between these two, given what had happened throughout the year, Bianca winning at WrestleMania and then Becky doing everything she could to get back to this match at SummerSlam and being inside Bianca Belair's head, and then all the twists and turns in this match, I thought it was phenomenal. And then in the end, we got Bayley and Damage Control debuting, and Becky having Bianca's back. This whole match from beginning to the end to what happened after the match really had me. So I love this match. I put it on my top 10 list this year. And then we're going to talk about, look, y'all know over at Going in Raw, we're big fans of AAA. Every year we sit down and watch Triple Mania. It's just like our event of the year. This year, there was 3 Triple Manias, 3 nights throughout the year. Night 1, we had VILLANO 4 versus LA Park in this crazy tournament where if you lose, you advance. And the idea is the loser in the end has to unmask. And so they're just going and just trying their darndest not to advance in the tournament. If you win, you get out of it. You don't have to worry about losing your mask. What a crazy idea this is. What a great idea that was. And VILLANO 4, who ended up losing the entire thing, like losing the tournament, you're coming out, you're the last person to, I don't know, it's weird. And VILLANO 4 ended up unmasking, but for a guy who's like, 60 some odd years old, taking on LA Park, another guy who's super old, man, these guys put on a performance of a lifetime. If you haven't seen this match, Triple Mania 30, Night 1, VILLANO 4 versus LA Park, oh my God, this just had us on the seat of our seat of our chairs the entire time. What is it, seat of our pants? Whatever it's called. Oh, man, it's been a long week. Anyways, and then let's go ahead and do this last one here. My match of the year, Sheamus versus Gunther at Clash of the Castle. Oh my God, this capped off an absolutely terrific feud between the Brawling Brutes and Imperium. And in fact, Brawling Brutes and Imperium had a terrific match to open up Extreme Rules this year. Another match of the year candidate, which also featured a card with another match of the year candidate, which was Edge versus Finn Balor. I Quit match. They had that phenomenal finish there with Finn Balor and with Rhea Ripley putting Beth Phoenix there into a concerto, getting her with the concerto, and Edge saying I quit before that, but them still doing it. But anyways, getting back to this, Sheamus versus Gunther. Honestly, just a physical match. Gunther he's been one of my favorite wrestlers for years now. Sheamus has been putting on, in his words, banger after banger after banger, and this was no different. These guys beat the living shit out of each other, and this crowd in the UK, understanding that they were getting a special moment here, giving it their all as well. Clash of the Castle was probably my favorite event of the entire year. It was phenomenal, and this match really was next level physical. In WWE, a place not really known for putting on like G1 style matches, they really knocked it out of the park. It was my favorite match of the year. So yeah, Sheamus versus Gunther, congratulations. Yeah, my vote for match of the year. So yeah, those are my favorite matches of the year. Let me know what you guys thought were your favorite match of the year. I'm not talking about move for move for move. I'm talking about what stood out to you. What got you emotional? What made you remember why you love pro wrestling? Because that's what's on my list. Let me know what's on your list in the comments below. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. It really does help WrestleJuice grow. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Till next time. We'll see you at this video over here.